Starting off our list at number 10 is Bella Thorne. She made a name for herself on the Disney dance show called Shake It Up, and since her Disney days she has continued to headline in movies like The Duff and the TV series Famous in Love. Outside of her acting career though, she has also made quite the reputation for herself. Her appearance wouldn't be what you find on Disney. She pierced her septum and rocks different rainbow colored hair all the time. Not only just her physical appearance, but her behavior is not the same as the young girl we saw on the Disney Channel. I mean, she was bound to grow up at some point, but now she's often posting pictures in skimpy bikinis and showing off her nipple piercing. You do you, girl, but obviously Disney won't be taking her back ever again. But Bella is totally okay with that and said she never wanted to be a Disney girl, as she called it. She also exposed Disney, saying that they wanted to fire her when she was 14 because she posted a picture wearing a bikini. During an interview, she said they told her, and I quote, "You're lucky that Bella has such a fan base that we can't afford to fire her at this point in time, but if she does one more thing, we will." Needless to say, she has cut all ties with Disney. Coming up next, number 9 is Madonna. At first it might be shocking to think that someone would ban the Queen of Pop herself, but there is one talk show she is permanently banned from. She too got banned from Piers Morgan, and he made sure that everyone knew about it. Back in 2011, he made a public statement saying that he would never allow her to return to a guest on his CNN show at the time. He called Madonna, I quote, "an irritant in my life for 20 years. So it sounds like they've had some beef for a while then. He said that she would only be invited onto his show if she made an apology to him on live television. There's been different rumor mills on why he dislikes her so much, but his exact reasons are still kind of unclear. He just said that she is responsible for a series of crimes against him, whatever that means. Rolling into the number 8 spot is Gilbert Gottfried. He's a talented comedian but is known for having a dark sense of humor, mainly insult comedy. He's been titled crude, inappropriate, but also hilarious. I think people's personal opinions on him would just vary depending on their sense of humor, which is fair because we all have our own sense of humor. But radio and television personality Howard Stern wasn't a fan of his comedy when he appeared on his talk show. The two of them got pretty heated with one another, and Howard said that he was being talked down to by Gilbert. He also took a joke too far and spit up cupcakes behind the scenes while the cameras were still rolling, and Howard just was kind of frustrated by it. He didn't really get it and he didn't find it funny. He was actually once a regular on his show, but he has never appeared on it since, and Howard does not have plans to bring him back. Moving on to number 7, we have Howard Stern. Well, isn't that just a funny little coincidence? What comes around goes around, I guess. He issued a few different bans on other celebrities, but was on the receiving end for one of them. It all came from his longtime feud with Jay Leno, which all started after Howard accused him of stealing bits from his own show. Not to mention the chaos in 1995 when Howard appeared on his show and brought 2 nearly naked women on stage and started sucking on their toes when Leno interviewed the next guests. He was so mad with this weird and erratic behavior that he actually ended the show early by walking off the stage. In at number 6 is the Kardashians. I am not going to name the girls off one by one because they all got banned from a show as a family, like a group coupon kind of deal. Like a Groupon. Back in 2012, during an episode of Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen, the CNN news anchor Anderson Cooper was asked if there was anyone he would refuse to have on his show at the time. He responded with, "I'd say generally any member of the Kardashian family." There wasn't much of an explanation why, and people were actually confused because just a few hours before that interview, Khloe tweeted about how much she loves the newsman and even referred to him as a silver fox. Which is just awkward, because clearly y'all are not on the same page with one another.
In at number 5, Tomi Lahren. Tomi is one of those right-wing pundits that is constantly saying inflammatory things online just to provoke a reaction from the people. She certainly has her supporters, and all that does is fuel this engine of hatred to keep on going. Again, I'm not against the limiting of speech, but if Lahren took a break from social media, it probably wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Recently, Tomi thought that she would weigh in on the protesting and said, "Brave men and women of law enforcement, these psycho Dems want to defund, dismantle, and destroy you. This is the choice Americans must make in November, lawlessness or law and order. No wonder the Dems are pushing fraud-ridden vote by mail." The problem with this tweet is that protesters against police brutality should not be a bipartisan issue. It's pretty clear that police agencies have been lawless for decades. Got him! In at number 4, Donald Trump. Now, speaking of free speech, you would think that the president would be for that. Unfortunately, he is, unless someone doesn't agree with him. Recently, when one of his tweets was fact-checked by Twitter, he actually threatened to shut down all social media companies. Which definitely seems like he's attempting to limit the speech of everyone, again, only because someone else didn't agree with him. So because of that, no one can say anything. For the amount of hatred that he has for the Chinese government, he sure enjoys taking a few things out of their book of controlling the people. In at number 3, Tekashi 6ix9ine. This one's a fairly easy one for me. 6ix9ine was put in jail for heinous crimes, and before that he was just the most annoying person on social media. Now that he's out and cooped up at home, he's only been continuing to rat on other rappers and stir the pot more than ever before. I can't even keep up with how active this guy is online. He claimed that he needed to be let out of prison for fears of catching COVID, but as soon as he got out, this guy just started flexing hard. He posted this photo of himself holding stacks of cash with the caption, "Describe me in one word," which filled the comment section with the word snitch, and at least he hasn't deactivated his comments so people can continue to expose him and how much they don't like him. It's good karma coming back. In at number 2, Jake Paul. Much like Tekashi, I would have no qualms if social media wanted to ban Jake Paul. While his brother Logan seems to have redeemed himself from his previous adolescent behavior, Jake is kinda stuck in the past. Having a platform as big as he does only seems to fuel more and more erratic behavior. Case in point was him thinking it was a great idea to show up to a mall and film people looting. Thankfully, his actions finally had consequences and he was arrested and charged for his role in the looting of an Arizona mall. Jake was charged with criminal trespassing and unlawful assembly. Hopefully some time in jail will give him some serious quiet time to focus on rethinking what he says and does for clout. Last but certainly not least, in our number 1 spot, Nicole Arbour. Why this woman is still allowed online after her Dear Fat People video is beyond me. Nicole Arbour doesn't have a political point that's ever even worth listening to, and she only ever falls to the side that supports her the most. During the riots, she fell into the laps of the white supremacists as she spouted some pretty wild things from her Facebook and Twitter pages. Amongst telling people to arm themselves and shoot, she also tweeted that white people were being lynched in broad daylight. Then goes on to say that they don't want change, they want to even a score from a game played by people none of us have even ever met, which is just the most tone-deaf way to look at these protests. Plus, by saying they want to even the score, you're simultaneously admitting that the score is uneven. Someone, please get her off the internet. In fact, I can hear the sirens coming now. In at number 10, Martin Lawrence. On February 19th, 1994, comedian Martin Lawrence was hosting Saturday Night Live. However, unbeknownst to the writers, he had adjusted his opening monologue a bit. As Lawrence went on about feminine hygiene in some very descriptive ways, Lorne Michaels was absolutely fuming. Following that live audible made by Martin, the monologue was then removed from all repeats and replaced with a voiceover instead. He was banned from ever hosting again, and Lorne would make sure that Martin would never even appear on the show, nor have his name mentioned by the cast. So essentially, Martin Lawrence is the Voldemort of Saturday Night Live. In at number 9, PewDiePie. Felix, I think, needs to just stay on YouTube. He's so good on that platform in particular. Recently, he's been using the community section of his channel to spread donation links for people to donate to the George Floyd Memorial Fund. Although when it comes to other social media platforms, PewDiePie has definitely stirred up some controversy in the past. Back in 2016, he was temporarily suspended from Twitter after tweeting out that him and Jacksepticeye were joining ISIS, which also led to him and, well, them both being unverified on the platform. He's also been very vocal about just how much he loathes Twitter. In a video he did, simply titled "I Hate Twitter," Felix explained that the platform has become nothing but a cesspool of opinions. Following that, he temporarily disabled his Twitter account, which is good to see that he at least had some foresight that it wasn't doing him any favors. In at number 8, Kim Kardashian. Other than the fact that she is famous for being famous, people really listen to Kim Kardashian, which isn't necessarily the best thing. I'm sure she could make much more of an impact by not being on social media 24/7. She has such a large following that her DMs must be jam-packed with offers from companies looking for her to advertise their products. I also don't think that she looks deeply into what these products are and simply views them as a payday. The biggest example of this that I can point to is the diet lollipops that she was advertising. She made this post advertising for the Flat Tummy Company's new appetite suppressant, and the problem is that the ingredients in this product haven't even been approved by the FDA, which means it's most likely not safe for people to consume. Although because she has established this unattainable image through plastic surgery and Photoshop, she then influences her audience to consume these toxic products with the hopes of being just like her. It's all around just not good for anyone. In at number 7, Clint Eastwood. Now there are some celebrities that have admitted that they are just too old to be on social media, and others have maintained that it kind of freaks them out in general. One person who should just stick to doing movies and playing shuffleboard is Clint Eastwood. After Donald Trump was elected, Clint tweeted out, "Thank you, America. I don't have long left to live, but I know the last few years will be great. I can't thank you enough. Hashtag President Trump." Now, there's nothing wrong with expressing joy for your candidate choice getting elected, but Twitter decided to suspend his account. The reason wasn't because Clint tweeted this, but because someone had actually created the account and it wasn't Clint Eastwood. That being said, I still wouldn't trust old man Clint to run his own social media pages, especially after that video of him talking to a chair that he claimed was Invisible Obama.
What do you want me to tell Romney? I can't tell him to do that. Can't do that to himself. You're crazy.
In at number 6, Ellen DeGeneres. Let's face it, ever since the lockdown, Ellen has done nothing good to help her career. First, there were the comments about how her home felt like jail. Then we had her turning her back on crew members that have put up with her for years only to fire them for an independent company. Now she thought that getting herself involved in the Black Lives Matter movement was going to save her. In a since deleted tweet, Ellen said, "Like so many of you, I am angry and I am sad. People of color in this country have faced injustice for far too long. For things to change, things must change. We must commit ourselves to this change with conviction and with love." Now, while I'm sure that was meant to be a nice sentiment of voicing support, but remember folks, she is BFFs with George W. Bush. Not exactly a political ally to the Black Lives Matter movement.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
Halfway through at number 5 is Kathy Griffin, another comedian whose content focuses a lot on dark comedy and controversial subjects like religion, politics, and LGBTQ rights. So there is bound to be a few people that she offends or frustrates. Throughout her career, she's been banned from more talk shows than anyone else on this list, and they include The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, The View, Ellen, and The Late Show with David Letterman. The reasons vary from making derogatory comments all the way to taking her clothes off. True story, video proof is still on YouTube. While she was on the David Letterman's talk show, she decided to take off her clothes on live television during their interview. She literally undid her dress, pulled it down, exposed her entire bra and her stomach, and the fact that she was not wearing underwear. True story, and then she had him zip it back up, and it's very uncomfortable to watch, but I think you should. Sliding into number 4 is Hugh Grant. How could anyone possibly ban the charming actor? I mean, am I right? Well, it is possible, and Jon Stewart banned him from The Daily Show with Jon Stewart back in 2009. He said his decision is justified though, and claimed that Hugh was extremely rude when he appeared on the show. He said he was cursing, complaining about everything, and people around him complained that he was annoying pretty much everyone on set. But down the road, the actor admitted that he was in a bad mood that day, and he tweeted out, "Turns out my inner crab got the better of me with TV producer in 2009. Unforgivable. Jay Stewart, correct, give me kicking." At least he admits it, right? I mean, we have all had bad days. I'd be lying if I didn't say I was cranky sometimes. Alright guys, we've made it to number 3 and we have Joan Rivers. The comedian legend was once a permanent guest on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, but she ended up landing a gig to have her very own late night show on Fox, and their friendship soon came to an end because of it. She made history for being the first woman to ever host a late night broadcast talk show, but it turned out to be a flop, and Carson felt betrayed by her because she left, so he banned her from returning to his, which I get. The ban even continued when Jay Leno took over in 1992 because Jay Leno was just trying to respect Carson's wishes. But in 2014, the ban was finally lifted by Jimmy Fallon when he did his premiere episode as the host of The Tonight Show. Taking over the number 2 spot is Adrian Brody. The actor completely shocked the audience with a joke that has gone down in history for being so inappropriate and offensive. Back in 2012, he was hosting SNL and he went onto the stage to introduce the rapper Sean Paul, but he wore a wig of fake dreadlocks and attempted this horrible Jamaican accent. The joke gone wrong was enough for him to get banned from ever returning to the show. Not to mention, the producer Lorne Michaels is said to hate when celebrities go unscripted on his show and do things that haven't first been approved or at least discussed, because I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have approved that joke. Winning the #1 spot is Sinead O'Connor. The singer-songwriter first rose to fame in the 80s and has always been controversial and open about her political views and beliefs. But she's another person who got banned from SNL for pulling a stunt that went too far and did not have people laughing like the show's intentions are. While she was singing a cover of Bob Marley's War, she took out a picture of Pope John Paul II and started reciting the word evil. And then she went on to rip it in half and say, "Fight the real enemy." The entire studio was shocked and left in complete silence, probably feeling super uncomfortable, not really knowing how to react to something like that. I'm confused. I don't understand. Starting us off at number 10 is Steven Seagal. If you thought he was the type of guy who wouldn't share his negative opinions about a topic, then you thought wrong. He likes to express these emotions through humor, but one time his jokes did not win him laughs. They actually got him banned from Saturday Night Live. Back in 1991, he hosted the show and received some pretty harsh ratings for his appearance. His jokes rubbed people the wrong way, but apparently there was also reports that he was just difficult to work with. Some crew members said they disliked working with him and that he was the worst host to ever appear on the show. So the actor and martial arts guru got banned from the show altogether. Moving on to number 9, we got Vince Vaughn. Many people would say that he's a great actor, but rumor has it there are less charming things about him when he is not on our screens. Everyone is allowed their own opinion, and apparently the actor made it clear that he doesn't really approve of gay marriage and same-gender relationships in general. And he revealed some of these comments while doing an interview on the Ellen DeGeneres show. As you know, Ellen is happily married to another woman and is a huge influence in the LGBTQ community. Now, there's been no confirmation from the source herself, but reports were made saying that after the interview, he was banned from returning to her show for a few years. Climbing into our number 8 spot is Gary Busey. He's a man full of talent, but his erratic behavior does not always sit well with others ever since his tragic motorcycle accident that ended with severe brain damage back in 1988. Throughout different interviews, he's shown fans that he has multiple personalities, which some people might get a kick out of, but Howard Stern is not one of those people. Gary got banned from the Howard Stern show after one of his interviews where he displayed this wild and bizarre behavior. He picked up Howard's co-host in this weird bear hug stunt, and he also wrestled Howard himself to the floor. In the middle of the interview. Just put him on the floor. Howard has said he felt some guilt banning him from returning to his show, but admits that he just simply cannot handle it. And at number 7 is Chris Brown. The singer flew into a rage on the set of Good Morning America, so it's not all that surprising that they wouldn't want him back on their show. It was back in 2011 when the singer didn't like the question they asked him, so he decided to walk out during the middle of the on-air interview. But he didn't just walk out gracefully, he left the interview, went backstage, ripped off his shirt like the Hulk, and smashed a studio window. Tell me it's not a coincidence that all of this anger came from a question about his felony assault case against his ex-girlfriend Rihanna. I mean, dude, you're really not helping your case here by trying to show the world that you can control your anger. No offense. Cruising into number 6 is Heather Mills. This one runs a lot deeper than just having bad behavior or a bad first impression. She was banned from the Piers Morgan show because she cheated on her husband. You're probably wondering why he would care about her love life so much. Well, her husband is actually his best friend. So you can imagine that would put him in an uncomfortable situation with having her on the show for interviews. So reports say after she cheated on his best friend, he banned her from being a guest on his show. Apparently, he's made some comments about the situation and said that she's just another, I quote, gold digger chasing wealthy gentlemen. Halfway through at number 5 is Kelsey Grammer. It appears as though Piers Morgan might throw bans around like it's no big deal, or maybe he's just a really hard guy to please. He slapped a lifetime ban on the Frasier actor after he appeared on Piers Morgan Live. What happened was, during his appearance, the network showed a photograph of his ex-wife, Camille Grammer, after they promised that the subject of his relationship would not be discussed on air. He responded to the photos by walking off set before he even made his full appearance. So they gave him a lifetime ban. Some people said it was a dramatic reaction, while others say the ban was a little over dramatic. So, what do you guys think? Which was the dramatic part? The reaction to the photos or the lifetime ban? Moving along to number 4, we have Piers Morgan. Yes, the roles have reversed. He throws around these bans on other celebrities, but he himself got one from Rosie O'Donnell. Now, the two of them don't actually have any beef with each other. Rosie banned him from the talk show, The Rosie Show, out of loyalty to one of her friendships. Turns out she's a good friend to Madonna, who got banned from Piers Morgan Live. I shared that story in our part 1 video. And since they are good friends, Rosie lashed back at Piers after finding out that Madonna got banned from his show and said that she was gonna ban him from hers. Rolling into our third spot is Chevy Chase. He was once a big star from the original Saturday Night Live cast back in 1975. Actually, he was one of the first. But he is also the first cast member to ever get banned from the show. The good news is his ban came long after he had left the show on his own terms. He left the show after 2 successful years and then returned 8 different times to host Saturday Night Live. During his 8th time hosting though, he got officially banned from ever returning after he hit another cast member in the back of the head. I'm not laughing that he punched someone, I'm laughing because it's so ridiculous. Will Ferrell reported him after he apparently witnessed the physical assault. But over the years, he has gotten on better terms with the creator Lorne Michaels, and although he was banned from hosting, they did allow him back on the show for smaller appearances. Taking over our number 2 spot is Martin Lawrence. It seems like NBC has no problem banning celebrity talent from Saturday Night Live if they are not pleased with their experience. Even the hilarious actor-comedian was banned from the network after he used inappropriate language that they said could risk the show's ratings. In his open monologue back in 1994, he made a reference to the female genitalia and also said some curse words, both things that were obviously not in the original script. He was banned from the show, and fortunately for the network, the inappropriate monologue was edited in a way so that they could take some of that out, so it didn't damage the ratings all that much, but some of it was still left in. Earning the number 1 spot on our list is Bobcat Goldthwait. This one takes the cake. It's honestly pretty crazy, and I'm surprised I didn't know about it before researching for my list. Back in 1994, the comedian went on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, and during the interview, he got infuriated when he heard that the Arsenio Hall show was being canceled. But he took his anger to a whole different level, and during the middle of the interview, he stood up, took out some lighter fluid, soaked his interview chair, and set the chair on fire. Maybe just the slightest bit dramatic, but to no surprise, he was banned appearing on the show ever again. He actually got fined, and he was forced to make a public service announcement in regards to fire safety.
In at number 10, Adele. Although Adele has never really been banned for saying anything obscene or posting something that garnered any negative attention, even Adele knows social media is bad for her. Back in 2017, Adele said that she can get a little too mouthy while on Twitter, and because of this, her management actually banned her, for which then prompted her to create her own private social media account. This is exactly why in 2020 she has gone on regular breaks from social media platforms, because she understands how addicting it can be. Well, that and the fact that she enjoys having a few alcoholic beverages, which doesn't exactly bode well with posting things online, especially considering the size of the platform that she has. In at number 9, the Kardashians. Minutes after Khloe Kardashian tweeted this out, "I love Anderson Cooper, #SilverFox," Cooper said that if he could ban any guest, it would be the entire Kardashian family. While on Andy Cohen's show, Watch What Happens Live, Cohen and Cooper played a game called Plead the Fifth. The question posed to Anderson was, name one person you would ban from your show forever, and as I mentioned, the Kardashians were thrown quickly under the bus. Although Cooper said that it was all in good fun, we still have yet to actually see any of them appear on his show. Not that they have any political opinions they need to be spewing. In at number 8, Hugh Grant. While some accents may sound charming, Hugh Grant's personality canceled out any of that for Jon Stewart at The Daily Show. After appearing on the show, Jon Stewart said he was banning Grant for being a big pain in the ass. Stewart continued saying that he would never grant him back on the show, pun intended. During an onstage Q&A, John remarked that they've had dictators on the show, but Hugh Grant was still his least favorite guest. Apparently, Hugh spent most of the day just complaining that he had to be there, and even flat out said that he had better things to be doing, for which the staff of The Daily Show didn't really care to hear, nor did Stewart. So thanks to his high-maintenance attitude, he was banned from the show with 0 apologies. In at number 7, Howie Mandel. Now you'd think because these two were co-hosts on the show America's Got Talent that they would have bonded a little bit, but nope. In fact, they probably would have liked each other more if they had never even met. During an interview with Billy Bush and Kit Hoover on Access Hollywood, Pierce said, "I actually want to torture and dismember Howie. He is without a doubt the most annoying man in the history of planet Earth." Those are some harsh words, and after Howie pranked Pierce one too many times, he outright banned Mandel from ever appearing as a guest on his independent live shows. In at number 6, Vince Vaughn. While promoting his new movie The Dilemma, they played a trailer on Ellen to promote the movie, and in the trailer was this line.
"Ladies and gentlemen, electric cars, they're totally gay."
Yeah, he said that on Ellen, live. You gotta imagine the network executives were sweating when that aired. For a long time, Vaughn was banned from ever appearing on the show again. However, after many years had passed and probably a few phone calls apologizing, the pair have made amends, and he did come back on 7 years later.
Halfway through the list, at number 5 is Jake T. Austin. He played the adorable little brother Max on Wizards of Waverly Place. He was living the dream, headlining a huge Disney show and starring alongside a star like Selena Gomez. However, after Disney, he's had a few struggles. It all started in 2013 when the 18-year-old was pulled over for not using his headlights, but then failed a sobriety test after cops said they smelled alcohol in the car. He was arrested and charged with a DUI on the spot. Just 1 month later, he was involved in a hit-and-run accident that involved 4 other vehicles. He fled the scene of the car accident saying that he didn't want to face any more legal trouble, but obviously that made it even worse. Then in 2014, it was reported he had a meltdown at the Teen Choice Awards. Apparently, he yelled and went off because a worker didn't know who he was. Witnesses claim he even threw things at a staff member and then stormed away. He's been able to clean up his act ever since, booking some other roles and voiceover work, but Disney hasn't taken him back. Here we are at number 4 with Demi Lovato. Her career started with acting on Disney Channel's movie Camp Rock and the TV show Sunny with a Chance. After that, she went on to completely dominate the music scene. But she started making headlines like being accused of punching a backup dancer while on tour with the Jonas Brothers. It was reported multiple times that she was checked into rehab and diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Over the years, she has been very open about her battle with eating disorders and a drug addiction. She openly admitted that there was a point when she couldn't go half an hour without wanting more cocaine, and that she'd show up to interviews either drunk or high. In 2018, she had a critical overdose and ended up in rehab once again, where she completely disconnected herself from the outside world and the industry. Now she has returned sober, which we are super grateful for, but she hasn't returned to Disney and probably never will. I just want her to drop some more hits if I'm being honest. I miss her music. Alright guys, at number 3 we have Britney Spears. Before she was dropping bangers, she was actually a Disney star, which happens to be where her career first started. She was on the Mickey Mouse Club alongside Justin Timberlake, Ryan Gosling, and Christina Aguilera. She's now an iconic pop singer and also a mom, but none of us could forget the time when we thought her career would be over for good. Who could forget the breakdown she had when she shaved her head and smashed a car with an umbrella? During that time, she overdosed on amphetamines and was taken to the hospital and put under psychiatric hold. For some time, she was in and out of treatment centers and had some legal issues too. Nowadays, her life has definitely been pieced back together, but Disney will not be a piece of her puzzle. Which is fine because ultimately she is Britney, bitch. In spot number 2 is Stoney Westmoreland. He was on the Disney show called Andy Mack, but you might not know that since we often forget that not all Disney stars are kids. Westmoreland took on the role of the grandfather on the hit TV show, and honestly he could probably take our number 1 spot on this list, but whatever. Turns out his Disney career quickly came to an end on December 15th, 2018 when he was arrested for allegedly trying to have sex with a person he believed was just 13 years old. Keep in mind he is 49 years old. While chatting with the teen online, Utah police saw he sent pornographic photos to the minor and asked the young teen to engage in sexual acts with him and also to send nude photos. On his way over to meet the teen, he was in a ride-sharing service where investigators say he planned to bring her to his hotel room, which is when the Salt Lake City Police Department and FBI Child Exploitation Task Force arrested him. He was charged with 4 counts, which are all considered third-degree felonies. Following his arrest, Disney Channel confirmed that his role on the show has been terminated, and we can assume that means for any future projects as well. Taking the number 1 spot on our list is Miley Cyrus, because people were absolutely devastated when she left her role of Hannah Montana. People were so invested in her character that she was judged the absolute hardest when she started to steer away from Disney. Her image changed from what they were used to seeing, and they were mortified when witnessing the whole twerking on Robin Thicke thing at the VMAs. It didn't help her case. She was always very open about her drug use and her sexuality. She was constantly posting videos of herself smoking pot and appearing practically naked in every appearance she made. I mean, she was completely naked and swinging on a giant metal ball for her music video Wrecking Ball. Disney wouldn't accept her back simply for all of those reasons, but also because she has exposed them and accused Disney for taking advantage of her. She told Elle magazine that she was underpaid. She said, "I mean, at one point they'll probably kill me for saying it. I was probably the least paid person on my cast because I didn't know any better. I was just like, I can be on Disney. Yay. I think there there are a lot of things Disney would kill her for saying and doing. Beginning in the countdown, number 10 is Howie Mandel. Although he's a very successful comedian and a lot of people would defend his humor, there will naturally be people out there who just don't find him funny. He's also known for his rowdy and loud personality, and one person who isn't a fan of it is Piers Morgan. Turns out he didn't care for Howie's cheerful attitude and silly jokes, so he banned him from returning to his talk show. The comedian never really did anything to personally upset him, and there isn't some big drama to the story. He simply just didn't like him on the show. Piers said that Howie was too irritating to have on his show, and even went as far as calling him the most annoying man in the history of planet Earth. That makes it crystal clear, Piers Morgan. Clear as glass. You do not like Howie Mandel. At number 9 is Orlando Brown. He played the lovable character Eddie on That's So Raven. While his other co-stars are now back on the reunion show Raven's Home, he wasn't even asked to be on the show. That is probably because he's too busy getting arrested and spending most of his time in and out of court. In 2014, he was charged with public intoxication and then a disturbing the peace charge after he threatened to kill a woman. Only 2 years later, he was charged with battery and drug possession. He allegedly hit his girlfriend, and he was found carrying meth at the time. The only pictures he has in magazines now are his various mugshots where he's looking a little crazy and rocking a Raven Simone tattoo. Yes, he tattooed his co-star's face on his upper chest, and we're not really sure why. Clearly Disney isn't interested in being associated with any of the above legal charges, so I guess Brown has traded in his headshots for mugshots. Taking over the number 8 spot is Lelaine Vergara. We know her as Miranda on Lizzie McGuire, who was the best friend that everyone wanted. She took on the headlining role as Hilary Duff's best friend, but after the series ended, she kept a low profile, and she recently opened up, calling that time of her life her dark years. She also starred on the Disney Channel original film called You Wish, and even tried to launch a music career in 2003, but her album was never released. Things went south for her when she caught an addiction to crystal meth. Back in 2007, she opened up and admitted the possession of the drug and her felony charge that went with it. She explained that she didn't show up for a court appearance, and the judge issued a $50,000 bench warrant for her arrest. She ended up pleading guilty for her charge, and she had to complete a drug treatment program, but her charge will remain on her record regardless. The actress says she now works a regular job to pay the bills, and she does random projects on the side. Unfortunately, because of her charge, Disney jobs won't be one of them. Sliding into number 7 is Shia LaBeouf. A lot of people know him from his Transformer movies, but he was also one of the stars on a Disney show called Even Stevens from 2000 to 2003. Only hardcore Disney fans will know him from Disney rather than Transformers. He took on the role of Louis Stevens, that mischievous little brother. However, since growing into adulthood, he's had some very interesting and very questionable moments. He's had multiple issues with both alcohol and anger, and has been arrested on multiple occasions. He's been involved with trespassing, disorderly conduct, assault, and drunk driving. And how could we forget the very weird moment where he showed up on the red carpet with a bag over his head that read, "I am not famous anymore." When asked why he was wearing it, his response was, "I am a bag. Ask me a question." That was so weird. It is safe to say his legal issues and erratic behavior is not wanted at Disney by any means. And at number 6 is Debbie Ryan. She first stole our hearts when she joined the Disney cast on The Sweet Life of Deck and became the newest Disney darling. She starred alongside the Sprouse twins until that series ended, and then she landed the lead role in her own Disney Channel series called Jessie. For years she was holding that innocent and clean image that Disney had, but that quickly went out the window when she was arrested. Back in 2016, TMZ reported that the 22-year-old actress was driving in LA around 11 p.m. when she made a left turn and slammed into a Mercedes. The driver in the other car claims they got hurt, which made cops arrest Ryan for a felony DUI. This immediately broke the internet, which completely shattered her Disney star reputation that everyone knew her for. Her police report also confirmed that her blood alcohol level was 0.11, which was over the legal limit, proving that she was in fact driving under the influence when she hit the other car. She was charged with 2 criminal offenses and tried to save her career by taking it to Twitter, apologizing for her actions and saying she hopes she can make things better. The actress has been able to continue a career booking roles in various movies and TV series, but none that are linked to Disney.
In at number 5, Gilbert Gottfried. With the way Gottfried performs, you would think this rude dude would be a repeat guest on the Howard Stern show. And the funny thing is, no one actually knows why Gilbert was banned from the show in the first place. Some believe that it was from an interaction with Stern's wife, while others think that Howard got sick of having him on. Although Gilbert didn't really seem to care, as you can see from his Instagram post. He also then would team up with fellow band guest Artie Lang to make this video trolling Howard Stern.
Artie and me, On with Howard tomorrow. Oh, no. Now, you know what? You can cut.
In at number 4, Jay Leno. Believe it or not, for our next celebrity live TV ban, there's a Wikipedia page for it. It's called the 2010 Tonight Show Conflict, and man, oh man, is it jam-packed with late-night talk show drama. Jay Leno had been the host of The Tonight Show since 1992, and Conan had hosted Late Night since 1993. Both shows had excellent ratings, but when Conan's contract was ending, NBC promised him that they would make O'Brien the host of The Tonight Show, which was huge because it was in a much better time slot, and it's obviously a dream for most talk show hosts to do that. However, they neglected to tell Leno about any of this. So when Jay's contract ended, they shifted Conan into The Tonight Show spot, and Jay ended up going before primetime news. Unfortunately, both shows started to tank in the ratings, causing the networks to get nervous. After watching their views decline, they panic and ask the host to switch back. Leno was for it, Conan O'Brien, not so much. He instead took another offer and started his own show simply called Conan. And the first rule he put in order, Jay Leno was banned. In at number 3, Steven Seagal. Back in 1991, Steven Seagal wasn't chomping on carrots and using too much Just for Men in his beard. He was a big action star. So needless to say, most people were excited to see him hosting Saturday Night Live. Unfortunately, the cast found him extremely difficult to work with. Norm Macdonald even said that he told them he didn't want to be in any of the sketches, which is typically something that every host just does. He did eventually oblige their request, but the cast was so fed up with him that they almost did the show with no host at all. Seagal was then banned by Lorne Michaels immediately after for being, as he so eloquently put it, the worst host ever. In fact, in 2014, Michaels told New York Magazine that when Nicolas Cage was hosting, he worried that he wasn't doing well and said during his monologue that he hopes he wasn't the worst host ever. Without missing a beat, Lorne walked on stage to reassure him that no, that was Steve Seagal. In at number 2, Joan Rivers. The late great Joan Rivers was always a recurring and outstanding guest on The Tonight Show's Johnny Carson. His show was without a doubt what launched her career, and the two bonded over the years, with Rivers even getting the coveted spot on the couch next to Carson. However, when Joan was approached by several big television networks to start her own show, she did so without telling Johnny Carson. Many other guests had followed a similar trajectory, but each had asked for Johnny's blessing. Putting that on a shirt, they asked for Johnny Carson's approval, essentially. Johnny was devastated when Joan did this without telling him, namely because her show ran opposite him as competition. Carson then had NBC ban Joan Rivers from ever appearing on the show again, a rule that both Jay Leno and Conan O'Brien adhered to well after Johnny had passed away. Last but not least, in our number 1 spot, Kathy Griffin. Although the photo shoot had nothing to do with the live-to-air show, Kathy Griffin was blacklisted hard when this photo appeared online. In 2017, the comedian became a magnet for controversy after posting a photo of herself holding a ketchup-covered head that looked eerily similar to Donald Trump. I suppose the networks were frightened of this PR disaster, and so Leno, Conan, Ellen, The View, Live with Regis and Kelly, The Today Show, and Letterman all banned Kathy Griffin from coming on live TV. CNN would also go on to announce that they relieved Griffin of her New Year's Eve coverage duties, a job that she had with the network for close to a decade. President Donald Trump even responded to the graphic imagery when he tweeted this out. Kathy Griffin should be ashamed of herself. My children, especially my 11-year-old son, Barron, are having a hard time with this. Sick. Griffin did end up apologizing and said that even as a comedian, she knows that she crossed the line, adding, "The image is too disturbing. I understand how it offends people. It was not funny. I get it."